Hey guys, and welcome to Pixel Cherry Ninja's channel. I'm very excited about this release. It just popped out of the blue, and this is a testament to how amazing the developer that has brought us this core is. And this is brought over by none other by the arcade heavyweight developer Jotego. It's currently in beta and it just got dropped, and honestly guys, this really has made my weekend. So the game that we're looking at here is a game called Shadow Warriors, also known as Ninja Gaiden. Now when you first hear those titles, you might be thinking of different games. I remember Shadow Warriors being like a modern kind of first person shooter brawler, and obviously Ninja Gaiden being Ninja Gaiden, the famous games on the NES. And I remember later they were released for the original Xbox. I even picked them up on my PS Vita. Now this is something different. This is the arcade game, what you're seeing here. This is something that I personally played in the arcade and I absolutely loved it. If you don't want to search this game on the internet, if you put in Shadow Warriors or Ninja Gaiden, just make sure you put Tecmo in 1988 at the end of it, or maybe something like arcade game as well, and it will take you over to the right thing, hopefully. Now what's amazing, when this was released in 1988, it was actually released in America and Europe before it was released in Japan. That's very, very rare, right? And I have to say guys, I like pixels, I like ninjas, and this game is the cherry on top. As a kid, I played it. Now this game has some good parts in there, it has some amazing parts in there, but it also has some jank, and it's not bad jank, it is great jank. The best way I can describe that jank is, do you know when you're watching an Austin Powers movie and you think, what is this jank I'm watching, but you like it because, well, it's pretty awesome. It's like that. Well, not exactly like that, but that's the closest kind of analogy that I could give you guys. Watch Austin Powers movies, they are good movies, and play this game. It's currently in beta, so you would need to be a Patreon supporter of Jotego to currently get access to this. But once we do the beta testing and the core is stable enough, Jotego always releases them publicly. In fact, I think Tekken World Soccer, off topic a little bit, has gone public. So if you're not a Patreon supporter, definitely check that game out. But in this video, we are talking about this game, Shadow Warriors, aka Ninja Gaiden. I'm going to call it Shadow Warriors because that's what it was called when I went to a cafe where I used to play it. So I'm going to get into an arcade story here before I talk about the story of the actual game. Guys, remember back in like late 80s, early 90s, as well as having arcades everywhere, all the corner stores, kebab shops, cab stations, and even cafes in this case had arcade machines. Now I used to go to a cafe. It wasn't far from my house. In fact, if I walked out of my house and there wasn't any traffic in my way. By the way, when we talk about traffic, there is actually traffic you need to dodge in this. So if you're like ninjas and you like Frogger, there's a part where you're dodging traffic in this. But going back to point, when I left my house, provided there was no traffic in my way, I could make it to this cafe in around a minute. And guys, it was in there. When I used to go in there, I never really used to eat from there. It wasn't really a place I like to eat. So I got asked in there by the cafe owner. It was like an elderly couple, and they said to me, "Why are you here?" Because I never ordered anything. And do you know what I said to them? I said, "I came for arcade." And they didn't quite get it. They obviously realized they had the machine in there. And what was really funny is I used to go there a lot. I really liked this game and I used to play it a lot. So, you know, again, they would ask me and I would be like, "I came for arcade." And that is what I came for. And that is what I told them. And sometimes the third time I went in there, they kind of forgot and they said, "You know, what can I get you?" Or like, "What's your order? You know, do you want a bacon sandwich? Do you want beans on toast?" It's difficult for me to turn away beans, but you know what? I told them a third time, I came for arcade. And what was amazing after that, what was really, really good, I was a kid now. Fourth, fifth time later on, I went in there, and you know, in these cafes, you had like builders, like workers, and they stood in there and they were like, "What's this kid doing in here?" And the old lady said, "He came for arcade." It was absolutely epic, guys. So arcades were everywhere then, guys, and everyone has a bunch of special arcade games, and this is one of my special arcade games. But I've kind of told my story and my background on this, and I do hope you found it entertaining. But let's now talk a bit more about the game. The story, the evil General Belidimus, I think that's how you say it. I don't think I've actually seen him or gotten that far in the game, but I do intend to complete this. Maybe I'll even do it in a stream. So the evil General Belidimus, carrying the bloodline of Nostradamus, kidnaps the president of the USA. Yeah, your run-of-the-mill plot, right? Armed with the launch command of an ICBM, his plans are catastrophic. The response: call two ninjas from Tokyo to save the day, because that's how the 80s rolled, guys. Late 80s, that's how we done it. Right, now the gameplay for this, guys. ninja techniques in here. You could run up to a wall, and you have to be careful sometimes, because when you walk up to the wall and you walk too close, all of a sudden your character does a flip. You kind of learn the mechanics. Now, the best move in this game, guys, was a move, the flying net throw. You do the jump, and you move it right or left and jump, and you press your attack button and you kind of grab them from the neck and you fling them over. And that's like the best move in the game. You kind of toss the enemy on, like, so, you know, in fighting games where you get barrels and boxes and you can punch them, you can't punch them. You need to chuck your enemies onto them to smash them, or your enemies smash you onto them. But the game mechanics definitely encourages you to use the enemies as tools, or like I said, get thrown yourself and maybe you'll end up with a bit of help. Now, there's different power-up items in there. You get like a ninja doll, which grants you an extra life. That's always a welcome addition. You get a clock that adds to your timer. One of my favorite ones in there is the sword, but you only get like 10 slashes with the sword, but it is very, very powerful, and you can cut through enemies like a hot knife through butter. You get different jewelry that racks up points, and you get red and blue pills that recover your health. So a little bit of a pro tip here, and full disclosure here, guys, I got this pro tip from the Jotego Patreon post. It says in there, stand directly on the same vertical axis as Bladimus to freeze his movements, then quickly attack his elbow for easy takedown. So guys, if you do make it to the end, that's how you want to defeat the last boss. Now, what I want to talk about is whenever Jotego releases a new game or a new core, I think this one's called like Ninja Gaiden, if I'm not mistaken. There's other games on this hardware. Now, there's a game, I did a video on it previously. It wasn't something I played in the arcade, but you know what? I absolutely loved it, because it was a game called Tecmo Night. I think it goes by another name like Wild Fang or something like that, but I knew it as Tecmo Night. I've got it on my Nintendo Switch, guys. It is awesome. It's another brawler, but in this time you play like a tiny little man that mounts different beasts. You mount a giant, you might mount a tiger, you mount like a dragon. That's the strongest mount in there. It's a fantastic game, and no doubt, you know, once Jotego starts working on hardware, he starts releasing more games on the hardware. Don't take that as gospel, guys, but I certainly hope we see Tecmo Night. I think there's another game on this hardware. It's called like Strato Fighter. It's a shmup. It's not something I'm familiar with, but I have to say, for the whole part, it does look really, really good. And one thing this game has, or the Tecmo games from that era, whether we're talking about this one here, Shadow Warriors, or Tecmo Night, guys, the continue screens are awesome. This one here, there's like a round razor blade coming at the ninja. It's coming down and it's telling you, unless you continue, guys, that is gonna just sew him up. It is graphical. It is awesome. So not only is the intro and a track mode for this excellent, you know, when you're dead and it's encouraging you to continue, the screen is fantastic. But that's all I'm going to say for this game, guys. If you're a Jotego Patreon supporter, make sure you download the latest beta zip, because this release will require it. Enjoy it on your MiSTer, your Analogue Pocket, or your CD 128, or whatever other device this supports. I mainly cover, when I do gaming on stuff, I mainly cover MiSTer and Analogue Pocket, and it works on both. Yeah, guys, enjoy it. It is awesome. Consider supporting Jotego, because you support development efforts like this. You get to test beta cores early, and yeah, man, it's just awesome. Like, I'm excited. So I've probably said awesome too many times here, but guys, have a fantastic weekend. I'll be doing my news video tomorrow. I wasn't sure whether to do a video tonight or not, but when something like this comes out and it's close to me and it's a special game for me, and someone like Jotego just brings me that arcade goodness, you know what, I'm going to be like, I know I've had a long day at work, but man, I need to do this video. Anyway, be awesome to one another, guys. This is Pixel Cherry Ninja out.